Well, hey everybody, I'm John Rithlin. This is my review of New Japan Pro Wrestling's Fighting Spirit Unleashed from the Hammerstein Ballroom. If my voice sounds shot, I do apologize. I was at the 5 Northwest Wrestling Show the previous night, cheering my heart out for a bunch of great local talents, some great stars. Killer Cross. Killer Cross was really cool to meet. And it's the last of 5 appearances, at least for a good while, for Darby Allin and referee Aubrey Edwards. So that was great. It was great to talk to Aubrey before, she got a great send-off and everything. Support your local indies. That's how I'm going to start this out. So with Fighting Spirit Unleashed, unfortunately, got delayed by 90 minutes, nearly 90 minutes, because of a snafu with a New York law where an ambulance needs to be on site in case there's any medical emergencies with talents or anybody that's, at the venue. Makes total sense. Except the problem is there should have been an ambulance already there. It was locked in, but somebody made a call saying the show was canceled, so said ambulance was sent away. Just according to rumor and innuendo, easy for me to say. And who knows who the fuck did it. Some people are saying that, it was a disgruntled employee. Some people are saying it was somebody from Ring of Honor. Who the fuck knows? Honestly, I don't have a goddamn clue. When more info comes out, maybe I'll do a rant on it. But anyway, the frustrations were palpable. There were people in attendance on Twitter that were saying, they weren't blaming New Japan, but they were just saying, hey, it's kind of bullshit and stuff like that. Now, want to start with the show. Milano Collection AT, Toru Yano, and Shigeki Kiano. I'm so sorry. I screwed that up. I'm very, very sorry. That should have been an easy name for me to do. But anyway, they talk in kill time. I assume I don't speak Japanese. Chris Charlton, his Twitter actually, was translating some of the stuff. And then we finally get some video, and I believe it's a higher ranking official in New Japan who really seemed like shell-shocked. He was apologizing, saying, sorry for the delay. And I mean, it was broken English, but it was pretty good. It was pretty good English. He really seemed down, and the fans were giving him props, saying, "It's okay, it's okay." They understood. And Rocky tosses some shirts into the crowd, way to get the crowd into it and everything. But there were some loud New Japan chants. The show finally does start. I will say this: the show had its moments, but it was very much a just road to show. There were a couple cool moments in it, but really with the show, it's going to be pretty easy to review because you got Ren Narita versus TJP. TJP got booed heavily. Narita got cheered. Narita hit some moves, but this was mainly a get-over match for TJP. Even though he sold some for Narita, he ended up getting the crossface to tap out Narita. I mean, of course, TJP was going to win. Boy, he got a few cheers, but he got booed loudly, and I can verify how loudly he gets booed at a New Japan show. Myself and Durbinator were at the Super J Cup in Tacoma. Holy fuck, he got booed loud. I mean, really goddamn loud. And Hammerstein Ballroom, that crowd is no goddamn joke. Has not been a goddamn joke for about 20 years or more. Fucking hell. Great crowd. I will say great crowd. Now, there was a time where they shit on one match, but I don't really blame them. Match was decent. Carl Fredericks versus Lance Archer. This was such a get-over match, it wasn't even funny. Archer just runs down, nails all the young lions, kicks Fredericks in the face, is celebrating, before the match even starts. Fredericks does hit some moves. He actually does hit some pretty good power moves, but Archer mainly is just there to get over, to smash Fredericks over. He gets in more offense than Narita did against TJP. Archer scares the ref at one point, and I think somebody yelled something about Archer's tattoo, like the back tattoo he has, and says, "It's a tramp stamp, bitch." That needs to be a meme. They need to meme that, as the kids say. I'm 38. Why would I say they need to meme that? I'm not hip at all. Fredericks did hit some good moves. He does actually do some stuff, but really it's just Archer smashing him. Everybody dies claw right onto Fredericks' head. 1, 2, 3. Then he does it to the ref, and Archer celebrates. I can also say Carl Fredericks pretty goddamn tall in person, and also pretty nice. He was talking to a lot of people in the front row, and I didn't really get a chance to talk to him because I was just right behind them, but still, really seems like a nice guy. Match was decent, and then we get to Juice and Mikey Nichols versus Alex Coughlin, not Coughlin, and Clark Connors. Juice got cheered pretty wildly here, or at least, compared to the other guys. He has ties to ROH with the Lifeblood stable and stuff like that. And he also does have a name just from making appearances there. And Mikey Nichols, is recognizable from NXT TV. The LA Dojo Young Lions, Alex and Clark, were fine. The match was okay. They did get in some good offense. I don't know why Alex, I believe it was Alex at one point, just did a drop kick when Juice was clearly going to just dodge it. It was a bit of a weird move. I mean, botches happen. It is what it is, but it's just like, it looked like something they could have edited out, like, of anything that wasn't a live broadcast. It wasn't the best move, but hey, mistakes happen. I'm not going to fault the guy. it just, it was just odd. It was just very odd. Um, yeah, just it was sloppy at times. There was a cool dueling Boston Crab spot with both the LA Dojo Young Lions holding, Mikey and Juice in there. But in the end, Mikey pins Alex. At least I think it's Alex. My brain kind of tuned out of this match. Not that it didn't matter. It was decent for what it was, but it went a few minutes too long. I think you could have just done this a couple minutes under, especially considering New York has that curfew and there wasn't a lot to this show, unfortunately, until you got a little bit later into it. Like once you got to about the fourth match, things started to get a little bit better until the semi-main event. Oh boy, it's a good thing they didn't close with that. We're probably 3K, so Show, Yo, Rocky Romero versus Guerrillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga, Tangaloa, and Jado. It was really cool to see Tama Tonga live at Defy Northwest a couple months ago. Well, actually, yeah, a couple months ago, actually, at this point. God, it's hard to believe. Huge pop for each of them, and especially Tana. Republican 3K got a really, loud response. Guerrillas of Destiny got a loud response. Jado was also there. Apparently, it's his birthday. And judging by the way he was moving, and I know he's beat up and everything, and he was a great wrestler in his day, but it's just he must have celebrated with a little too much partying or whatever, because he was doing the Ric Flair flop after he got beat up. That was kind of funny. Or his version of it. Guerrillas of Destiny take over. Some good stuff. Jado gets in a few shots. At one point, Tama Tonga, while Tangaloa has, Yo's arms held, Tama Tonga looks like he's going to chop him, and then he just tweaks his nipples really hard. For whatever reason. He's Tama tweaking Tonga. Easy for me to say. Good God, that needs to be a shirt. There were forever clotheslines at one point. Rocky just getting a huge pop from the crowd. That was some cool shit. But in the end, gun stun out of nowhere. 1, 2, 3. Rocky gets pinned, which keeps showing Yo strong, since they're probably going to be facing Guerrillas of Destiny. I imagine the King of Pro Wrestling. Now, I looked at the whole card, and I believe that match is on there, but, again, some of the matches are kind of smashed together in my head. Decent match was what it was. Tiger Hattori, 35, 40-year referee vet of New Japan. And he gets a huge pop because this is his last U.S. show before he retired. And now he may still do some New Japan shows, but I was under the impression he was actually going to retire, period. And if he does, great for him. I mean, he has a name in New York. I believe he has a business in New York, if I recall correctly. But Shingo, Naito, and Bushi. So Naito comes out. I got the hint that Naito might just be slightly over with the Hammerstein Ballroom crowd. He was very over. And then we get Hiroshi Tanahashi and Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, the Rock and Roll Express, in 2019. What the fuck is 2019? It's absolutely insane. The crowd was much more into this. They were into the last match, but they were much more into this one than they were into a couple of the previous ones. That's nothing against the talents, but the crowd built a little bit. I think it took them a bit to get into stuff. Rock and roll, just rock and roll chants, that was pretty cool. Naito taunting Ricky, that was pretty good stuff. Of course, you get the Ricky to Robert tag, famous in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and even like now. I don't know how the fuck these guys are still moving at their age with all the mileage that they have. They don't wrestle every day, but still, they wrestled at the Crockett Cup and actually had a pretty competitive match. What is life, honestly? You get Naito versus Tanahashi. I'll get that again. I would like to see that again. All that glorious hair. Yes, Tana's may be better, but still, Naito's hair is no slouch. Why is this turning into a conversation about hair? Moving on. At one point, Ricky does a tope in 2019. Dear God. Credit to him. Hey, they haven't hurt themselves doing this. Or at least they haven't hurt themselves at this age doing this. High Fly Flow pins Bushi, 1, 2, 3. And the faces celebrate, so you get Ricky and Robert, and then you get Tanahashi, and they're doing the rock and roll pose, which I imagine Tanahashi is probably a big thrill for him. And, it's actually the New Japan debut, if I recall correctly, of Rock and Roll Express. They work for Giant Baba in All Japan, in, I believe, the 80s and 90s, but they never worked for New Japan. And this is actually pretty damn cool. It's like a bucket list thing. And Tiger Hattori gets a big send-off, big celebration. His family's there. Big thank you, Tiger chance. I mean, I think it was before the match and after the match. Big thank you, Tiger chance. He was very emotional. His family was at ringside. They got in the ring, including his grandkids, and the Rock and Roll Express tried to high-five him, and they're probably thinking, who are these two American granddads? Granddad, who is this? Granddad. If Derb happens to watch this, he will appreciate that. Bit of an inside joke thing. That is just really cool. He got to talk about how he's been a New Japan rep for years and years and years, nearly half of his, well, actually pretty much half of his life, or close to it. And just, you could tell he's respected. He thanks the fans. It's great. His last U.S. show was his last appearance on the show. No, it wasn't, actually, but his last U.S. show. Cool. He's 74 years old. He has earned the right to go and retire, period, if he wants to. And if he wants to work exclusively in New Japan, if he wants to never work again, the man has dedicated his life to wrestling. Like, really, does he need to do any more? No, he really doesn't. We then get, so that was really, really cool, really good moment. Still a bit loud, thank you, Tiger chants. And then we get to Amazing Red, Tomohiro Ishii and Hiroki Goto versus Jay White, Chase Owens, and Gato. Oh, it's Chase. I'm going to go to sleep. I feel bad for saying that, as talented as Chase actually is. He bores me. I'm sorry. He bores me. Pops for Amazing Red, Tomohiro Ishii, and Goto. Goto got a decent pop. Jay White got booed heavily, and that's good. That's good. That's actually some really good stuff. Red, it was really cool to see Amazing Red versus Will Ospreay at the Super J Cup in Tacoma. One of the best matches I've seen this year. One of the best matches I've ever seen live. And I'm including other indie shows I've gone to. I'm including other wrestling shows I've gone to, like WWE stuff. I can't name too many from those that were fantastic, but as far as indie shows or the New Japan show that I went to, it measures up there. It's pretty goddamn close. And especially considering Amazing Red's had all those injuries and still went out there, and then Will Ospreay doing the Oscutter on the apron, hardest part of the ring. So Ospreay wasn't on this show. I'm sure there was a reason, but anyway, it was a decent match. It went a bit long. It didn't need to go that long. Bullet Club did take over. Maybe it just seemed long, maybe because Chase was in there. Ishii does get grounded. Amazing Red eventually gets tagged, but then Goto gets tagged, and he tangles with Jay White because Goto wants to challenge Jay White for Jay's newly won Intercontinental Championship, which I actually did a ranking list of every Intercontinental Champion, IWGP Intercontinental Champion ranked from worst to best. The link's not up here. Please check out the channel below, or the links, like after you watch this video. And, Gato's in, and eventually GTR pins Gato 1-2-3, which is smart. You really didn't need to beat any of these baby faces at this point. Red was put on the card. I really hope we do get Amazing Red. If we get Amazing Red, Will Ospreay, and a couple other junior heavyweights in a 4-way at Wrestle Kingdom, and you just give them 20 minutes, you probably could just go all out. I would really like to see that. I think Amazing Red deserves that big stage. If he can do it, if his body will hold up and he wants to do it, New Japan needs to bring him in at least one more time, especially after that emotional Will Ospreay speech. And I haven't watched the Super J Cup broadcast back, the one from Tacoma, so I don't know if all that speech made it. If it did make it, you're going to know what I'm talking about. There was not a goddamn dry eye. Dude felt that emotion. It was like hitting me. I want to see Amazing Red at Wrestle Kingdom. Anyway, now we get to Kenta versus Yoshihashi Never Openweight Championship, and oh dear. Here's where I'm going to try to be kind. Yoshihashi is a good tag team wrestler. He's a good 6-man wrestler. It's not that he's a bad singles wrestler. Nobody bought into this. And the show was already delayed anyway. I'm not saying they need to cut matches short, but they should have cut this one short. Yoshi should have gotten in some moves, maybe get the butterfly lock at one point and almost get it, but Kenta should have smashed him. Should have. If you want to establish Kenta as a heel, you had to have him do that, and this didn't work. The crowd was not into it. There were some times where they would dual chants of Yoshihashi, Kenta, let's go Kenta, Yoshihashi, let's go Kenta. They booed Kenta pretty heavily. They did. They hated this match. They did not give it a chance. I mean, and I know something about not giving matches a chance, but it's like I'm watching this, I go, they're gonna shit all over this. And they did. That's because nobody bought into Yoshihashi being a contender. Had this happened in Japan, had this specific match happened in Japan, happened at King of Pro Wrestling or whatever, okay, sure. Nobody was gonna buy into it. And it was bad. It was just really bad. The crowd shit on it. The match was too long. It was way too long. Cut 10 minutes off of this match and you would have been better. Because again, it was already late anyway with the show delayed. Now, it's not New Japan's fault, but it just should have been cut off. This should have been cut down. We get a rope break, the crowd boos, and then we get some more dueling chants. We get some near falls. We get a ref bump, Gorillas of Destiny interfere, but then Tiger Hattori comes in and grabs, it's like he's grabbing two of his children and pulling them by the hair and kicking them out of the match, which was a pretty funny moment. We get a butterfly lock. That was pretty cool. But Kenta eventually gets the ropes, strikes, he hits the Psycho knee, and then the GTS, 1, 2, 3. Thank Christ. Thank Christ that was over. One of the worst matches I've seen in a while, and it wasn't that it was badly worked. I would put this right up there with Juice and Chase as far as bad matches I've seen in New Japan this year. Usually a lot of matches are okay, and maybe it was partly the crowd shitting on this, but it just wasn't good. It just wasn't good, and it went on too. It didn't benefit Kenta, and it didn't make Yoshihashi seem any stronger. Even though there were times where it was okay, if it had just been the last 10 minutes, fine. With Gorillas of Destiny interfering, but then the butterfly lock and all that stuff and everything would have been fine. But you didn't need all this stuff of DDTs on the floor and all this bullshit. You didn't need it. We then get Okada and Ibushi versus Evil and Sonata. This is hyping Ibushi versus Evil. Since Evil beat Ibushi in the G1, he gets a right to challenge for the G1 Climax contract. Gross. I will always laugh at the G1 Climax name, which is shocking because I'm such a mature individual. There is not a soul watching this that believes that, by the way. And Okada versus Sonata for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship at King of Pro Wrestling. To sum up this match, basically, the crowd was chanting for everybody. And Red Shoes. Red Shoes even getting in on. Red Shoes got a big pop at the Super J Cup, which was really nice. It was just some great double teaming. It was a classic match of these 4 really, really big talents in two feature matches at a future event in a couple weeks. And we got that, we just got a really, really fun match, some good near falls. Everything is Evil, pins Ibushi, 1, 2, 3. Evil does a thing. It's like New York City is evil. It's like, okay, I mean evil. You don't. Oh right, everything is evil. That's what he was going to say next. And of course Milano just marking out like crazy on commentary. It was great. I'm sorry. There were some good moments. But C+. There were some times where it was cool. It was cool to see New Japan in a USA. And again, I'm not saying that any of the matches were particular. The one match that brought it down was the Never Openweight Championship. It brought it down quite a bit. And a couple of the other matches were just kind of there. But C+. The crowd made it work. The talents did well, even in the Never Openweight Championship match. But C+, because it was really just a house show they put in New York. And I'm not saying they didn't get fans their money's worth. I mean, clearly the fans had fun, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, agree, disagree with what I said. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.